We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle. In every age, in every kingdom, the same illusion has ruled the hearts of men and women alike. The illusion of ease. We do not worship those who reveal their sweat. We worship those who appear untouched by labor, as though they carry a divine blessing. We do not bow to the exhausted. We bow to the serene. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Robert Greene tells us, your actions must seem natural and executed with ease. All the toil and practice that go into them, and also all the clever tricks, must be concealed. When you act effortlessly, as if you could do much more. This law is merciless. It tells us that the world does not care for your struggle, nor will it crown you for your suffering. Power does not lie in showing others how hard you work. It lies in convincing them that your greatness requires no work at all. This is the essence of the invisible hand of power. The hand is never seen, yet it shapes destinies. It is the current that moves the ship, the wind that bends the forest, the unseen clockwork that makes the spectacle turn. To reveal the hand is to ruin the magic. To keep it hidden is to command awe. Consider the stage magician. His tricks are the result of practice, pain, and countless failures. But when he stands before the audience, his hand moves like lightning, and the impossible appears. The crowd gasps, not because of his labor, but because of his illusion of effortless mastery. Consider the warrior. His body is broken by years of training, his mind hardened by endless drills. But when he steps into battle, every stroke of the sword must seem natural, inevitable, divine. If he reveals hesitation, he reveals weakness. If he shows strain, he shatters the illusion. His victories must look preordained, not earned. Why is this illusion so powerful? Because human beings do not want to see the cost of greatness. They do not want to see the years in the shadows, the long nights of practice, the hidden suffering that forges mastery. They want to believe in miracles. They want to believe in destiny. And so, those who learn to hide their effort wear the mask of gods. Their victories appear as fate. Their works appear as gifts from heaven. Their presence radiates inevitability, as though the world itself bends toward them. Those who reveal their sweat, by contrast, invite resentment. For to show effort is to show struggle. To show struggle is to remind others of their own weaknesses, their own failures, their own exhaustion. And nothing breeds contempt faster than a mirror of one's own fragility. This is why Law 30 is not a suggestion. It is a commandment of power. Never reveal the workshop. Never reveal the scars. Never reveal the furnace that feeds the flame. Show only the flame itself. Throughout history, the masters of power have understood this instinctively. The Roman generals who hid months of planning behind a single, decisive strike. The poets who claimed their verses came in dreams, when in truth they revised them 100 times. The rulers who projected calm inevitability, while behind the palace walls they fought tooth and claw to hold their thrones. This is why Greene calls it a law, because in the world of power, the illusion of ease is not decoration, it is survival. And in this hour we will walk among three masters of this law. Aristotle, whose serene wisdom seemed born from nature itself, though it was carved from decades of relentless study. Michelangelo, whose marble and frescoes seemed like divine miracles, though they came from agony, sweat, and blood. And Marlene Dietrich, whose effortless allure defined an era, though every inch of her legend was constructed with ruthless calculation. 3 figures, 3 worlds, philosophy, art, and cinema, yet all were united by one truth. Their power was never in their struggle. Their power was in their concealment. This is the path we now walk, through halls of philosophy, through cathedrals of art, through the silver screens of illusion, to witness how the invisible hand has always ruled and always will. Let us begin with the philosopher whose calm words outlived empires, whose wisdom shaped kings, and whose authority was so natural it seemed timeless. Yet behind this mask of serene mastery lay a lifetime of relentless study. Step with me now into the colonnades of Athens, into the world of Aristotle. The colonnades of Athens have long since crumbled, but in their shadows still lingers a voice. It is calm, measured, eternal, a voice that shaped kingdoms, commanded emperors, and tutored the very conqueror who would change the known world. That voice belonged to Aristotle. Born in the year 384 before Christ, in the northern Greek city of Stagira, Aristotle seemed destined from the start to carry the air of wisdom. His father was physician to the Macedonian king, giving the boy early exposure to the nobility of courts and the order of science. Yet Aristotle's true path was not medicine, but philosophy. At the age of 17, he entered the Academy of Plato in Athens, a school devoted to the pursuit of truth. For 20 years he studied under Plato, mastering logic, ethics, politics, and metaphysics. Imagine 2 decades of debate, argument, and reflection. A lifetime compressed into youth. Yet when Aristotle finally emerged as a teacher, he did not carry the scars of struggle. He carried the aura of inevitability. Here lies the first echo of Law 30. For what Aristotle gave the world was not the sound of a man sweating beneath the weight of books, but the tone of a mind that seemed to flow effortlessly, naturally, as if philosophy itself spoke through him. He concealed the long nights of study. He buried the arguments, the contradictions, the errors. What remained was only the polished stone of truth. When Plato died, Aristotle journeyed beyond Athens, moving across Greece and Asia Minor. He studied biology, cataloging plants and animals. He immersed himself in politics, observing monarchies and republics. He wrote tirelessly, producing works on ethics, rhetoric, poetics, and physics. The sheer scope of his knowledge was staggering, a mind trying to encompass the entire world. And yet, in the eyes of others, his wisdom did not appear labored. It appeared effortless. This was most visible when he was summoned to Macedon to tutor a young prince. Alexander would later be called the Great. But before the empire, before the battles, he was a boy under Aristotle's guidance. Aristotle taught him Homer, the sciences, the principles of leadership, the art of persuasion. Imagine the scene. The young prince, restless with ambition, the philosopher calm and steady, pouring the wine of wisdom into an eager vessel. Aristotle never revealed how hard such a task truly was. To shape the mind of a future conqueror required patience beyond measure. To discipline a boy destined for war was to tame fire with words. But Aristotle's demeanor betrayed none of this. His teaching seemed natural, inevitable, as if greatness were a seed and Aristotle merely the soil in which it grew. This is the power of concealing effort. Had Aristotle shown struggle, had he revealed desperation, Alexander might have dismissed him as just another tutor. Instead, by cloaking his labor in calm inevitability, Aristotle gave the impression that wisdom was not taught, but bestowed. He became not a teacher, but a prophet. When Aristotle later returned to Athens, he founded his own school, the Lyceum. Unlike Plato's academy, Aristotle's school was practical, systematic. He believed knowledge should be categorized, broken into subjects: ethics, logic, physics, politics. And yet he never presented this as invention. He presented it as discovery. He concealed the endless hours of organization, the relentless questioning, the struggle to unify a chaotic world of facts. To his students, it appeared as though Aristotle simply drew back the veil of nature, revealing what had always been there. This is the invisible hand of power at work. The greater the labor, the more important it is to make the result look inevitable. The harder the struggle, the more vital it is to bury the scars. Robert Greene reminds us, what imitates nature is most perfect, and what looks effortless most inspires awe. Aristotle embodied this truth. His logic appeared natural, his ethics eternal, his rhetoric smooth. So smooth, in fact, that centuries later the Catholic Church would absorb his philosophy into its theology, as if divine revelation and Aristotle's reasoning were one and the same. Consider the effect. Aristotle's words endured not only in Greece, but in Rome, in Byzantium, in the Islamic Golden Age, and in medieval Europe. A voice that should have died in the ruins of Athens became timeless. Why? Because it carried the aura of inevitability. It was not the philosophy of a man sweating in effort, but the philosophy of a man touched by truth itself. And here lies the lesson for us all. The workplace, the battlefield, the stage. These are our modern lyceums. Show your effort, and others will reduce you to their equal. They will say, I too could have done this if only I worked hard enough. But conceal your effort, and they will believe you are something different, something beyond them. They will not see a worker. They will see a master. Aristotle understood this instinctively. His writings were endless, his studies relentless, his discipline legendary, but to the world, his wisdom was calm, natural, unforced. And so, to this day, we call him not a laborer of truth, but simply the philosopher. If Aristotle cloaked his labor in calm reason, another man cloaked his in marble and paint. His body was broken, his hands raw, his eyes burning, and yet he swore his works were no struggle at all. Let us now step into the workshop of Michelangelo, where sweat was buried beneath the illusion of divinity. The smell of wet plaster, the burn of oil lamps against stone. A man lies on his back, high upon a wooden scaffold, arms trembling as he forces pigment into wet plaster. Paint drips into his eyes, stiffening his neck. He spends years like this, nearly blind from the labor, his body twisted in pain. And yet when the world first looked upon his masterpiece, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, they did not see agony. They saw a miracle. This was the illusion of Michelangelo Buonarroti. Born in 1475, Michelangelo was destined for greatness, though his life was anything but easy. He trained as a sculptor in Florence, absorbing the brilliance of Renaissance masters, yet he never enjoyed a peaceful existence. His rivals were many, his patrons demanding, and his body constantly racked with exhaustion. But Michelangelo grasped something that few ever do, that true power lies not in revealing pain, but in burying it beneath the mask of inevitability. Consider his David, a single block of marble, abandoned by other sculptors for being too flawed to use. Michelangelo took it and produced one of the greatest statues of all time. He claimed that David was always inside the stone, and that his task was merely to free him. Think about this. He did not say, "I toiled for months, carving every muscle, chiseling every detail with endless precision." He said, "The statue was already there, I only realized it." This is Law 30 embodied. To the world, his art was not labor, it was destiny. His genius was not effort, it was divine providence. He concealed the struggle, revealing only the miracle. The same illusion governed the Sistine Chapel. For 4 years, Michelangelo labored, painting over 5,000 square feet of ceiling. His body was so broken by the task that he wrote poems about the misery. His stomach pressed to his spine, his beard pointing toward the sky, paint soaking his face, and yet when unveiled, the frescoes seemed like the effortless work of a divine hand. The people did not see the exhaustion, the anger, the torment. They saw God separating light from darkness, Adam's hand reaching toward the Creator. They saw art that appeared eternal, inevitable, miraculous. This is the danger and the brilliance of effortless mastery. Had Michelangelo complained, had he revealed the depth of his pain, the myth would have cracked. People might have admired his endurance, but admiration is not the same as reverence. Admiration is for mortals. Reverence is reserved for gods. By hiding the torment, by speaking only of inevitability, statues inside stone, miracles upon ceilings, Michelangelo made his works appear not human, but divine. Robert Greene writes, "What imitates nature is most perfect, and what looks effortless most inspires awe." Michelangelo imitated not nature, but God himself. And by concealing the brutal mechanics of creation, he made others believe he was touched by heaven. Yet beneath the illusion, Michelangelo was a man of savage labor, his hands calloused, his body bent, his temper volatile. He fought with patrons, clashed with rival artists, and agonized over every detail of his craft. But he never revealed this to the public. He let others whisper of his genius, while he himself maintained the mask of inevitability. This is why he was feared, why he was revered, why his legend has endured for centuries. The lesson for us is clear. Bury the workshop, show only the wonder. In your career, present the finished product, not the sleepless nights. In your craft, unveil the beauty, not the drafts. In your power, reveal only the destiny, not the struggle. For to show struggle is to be pitied. To conceal it is to be worshipped. Michelangelo understood that the more miraculous something appears, the greater the distance between the creator and the crowd. That distance is power. But if Michelangelo mastered the illusion of divine creation, another figure mastered the illusion of divine allure. She was no philosopher, no sculptor, but an actress who turned her very body into art. Every glance, every gesture, every shadow of her face was manufactured. Yet to the world, it seemed effortless. enter the legend of Marlene Dietrich. Berlin, 1930. Smoke drifts through the air of a crowded cinema as the screen flickers to life. A woman appears, her voice low and husky, her eyes half-shadowed beneath a tilted hat. She sings slowly, each word curling into the audience like a spell. The film was The Blue Angel, and with it, Marlene Dietrich was born, or rather, constructed. Dietrich's allure seemed natural, effortless, as though she carried seduction in her blood. Her voice, her gestures, her elegance, all appeared spontaneous, instinctive. But behind the image lay one of the most carefully engineered illusions of the 20th century. From the start, Dietrich understood the secret of Law 30. Seduction, like power, cannot appear labored. The moment the world sees the mechanics of desire, the diet, the lighting, the rehearsals, the control, the illusion collapses. What must remain is the image of ease, the aura of inevitability. Marlene Dietrich devoted her life to this illusion. Her beauty was not inherited, it was constructed. As a young woman in Berlin, she was not considered remarkable, but she sculpted herself into something unforgettable. She refined her style with ruthless precision. Lighting was always dictated by her. Cinematographers were forced to capture her only from specific angles. Her diet and exercise were merciless, designed to maintain a silhouette that looked natural, but was in truth the product of constant vigilance. Her costumes were carefully chosen, blurring the line between masculine and feminine, giving her an aura both dangerous and alluring. And yet when she appeared on screen, none of this was visible. The audience believed they were watching a woman born with effortless allure. A goddess, not a strategist. This is the invisible hand of power. Robert Greene tells us, what imitates nature is most perfect, and what looks effortless most inspires awe. Dietrich imitated not nature, but the illusion of instinct. She convinced the world that seduction flowed through her veins, when in truth, it flowed from discipline, calculation, and endless control. Her image became timeless because it seemed inevitable. She was not merely beautiful, she was mythic. So mythic, in fact, that she transcended film itself. During the Second World War, she rejected Nazi Germany and became a symbol of freedom, performing for Allied troops. Even in war, she maintained the aura of elegance, the effortless grace of a woman untouched by fear. Soldiers adored her not because she suffered with them, but because she rose above suffering, carrying an aura of invincibility. But behind this mask lay exhaustion. Dietrich was plagued with insecurity, constantly fearful that her carefully constructed image would collapse. She spent hours in preparation before every appearance, hours ensuring that the illusion would hold. Few knew the torment. The world never saw the sweat. And this concealment was her power. Had Marlene Dietrich revealed the machinery, the diets, the insecurities, the fears, her spell would have broken. She would have been reduced to an actress, one among many. Instead, by burying the workshop and showing only the wonder, she became an icon. The lesson is clear. In love, in power, in ambition. When you reveal the effort behind your allure, you weaken it. The moment charm appears forced, it is gone. The moment genius appears strained, it is questioned. But when it looks effortless, it inspires envy, awe, and worship. Dietrich's reign in Hollywood endured, not because she was the most talented actress, nor because she was the most beautiful. It endured because she understood Law 30. She understood that allure is not what you possess. It is what you project. And what you project must appear effortless. Today her name still conjures the image of elegance, mystery, and power. Not a woman of sweat and the struggle, but a woman of destiny. That is the power of the invisible hand. And so, from the philosopher to the sculptor, from the sculptor to the siren, the law remains unchanged. Conceal the labor, reveal only the crown. But why does this law cut so deep into human nature? And how can it be wielded in our own lives? Let us step now into reflection. What is it in human nature that worships the illusion of ease? Why do we crown those who seem born to power, while we quietly scorn those who struggle for it? The answer lies in the deepest chambers of the human mind. Effort, when seen, reminds us of struggle. And struggle, it is human. It mirrors our own weakness, our own frustrations, our own exhaustion. When we watch someone strain, we do not feel awe. We feel kinship. We think, they're like me. They bleed, they stumble, they sweat. Kinship does not create distance, and distance is the essence of power. To wield authority, to seduce, to command respect, you must stand apart. You must appear elevated, untouchable, moving in a world beyond common suffering. The moment you reveal your effort, you collapse that distance. You fall back into the crowd. This is why Law 30 is so merciless. It demands that you cloak your toil, your pain, your struggle, so that the final product gleams like a miracle. It demands you hide the furnace and show only the flame. Aristotle buried decades of study beneath the calm voice of reason. Michelangelo concealed years of torment behind works that seemed divinely inevitable. Marlene Dietrich erased the sweat of self-construction and replaced it with the illusion of natural allure. Each in their own way projected the mask of inevitability, and each gained power precisely because they hid the struggle. This law speaks not only to history, but to psychology. The human mind instinctively reveres what appears effortless. We believe it must be divine, fated, superior. It taps into a primal desire to believe in gods, in miracles, in destinies greater than our own. Think of the athlete who makes impossible feats look easy. We call them gifted. Think of the speaker who delivers words smoothly. We call them natural. Think of the leader who carries calm amid crisis. We call them born to rule. In each case, what we worship is not the truth of labor, but the lie of ease. Robert Greene warns, when you reveal the labor behind your creation, you open yourself to doubt. If it took you so long, if it strained you so hard, perhaps you are not truly superior. Perhaps you are merely persistent. And persistence, though admirable, does not inspire awe. It inspires comparison. People think, if I too worked that hard, I could achieve the same. But when you conceal the labor, when you cloak it in inevitability, you rob them of comparison. They cannot imagine replicating it. They believe it is something beyond them, a gift you alone possess. That is the alchemy of Law 30. This law is not confined to artists and philosophers. It governs every arena of life. In business, reveal your endless hustle, and colleagues will dismiss you as a grinder. Conceal it, and they will call you a visionary. In relationships, show the mechanics of charm, and allure vanishes. Conceal it, and attraction grows like a spell. In leadership, reveal fear and effort, and subordinates doubt you. Conceal them, and they believe you were born to command. This is why some men are remembered as geniuses, while others are forgotten as workers. Both may have labored equally, but only one hid the labor. Yet let us not be deceived. This law does not ask us to abandon effort. It asks us to bury it, to labor in silence, to bleed in the shadows, to carve our art behind closed doors and unveil only the gleaming perfection of the finished work. The world has always belonged to those who understood this illusion, those who made struggle invisible, those who played with the audience's mind, leaving them to believe in destiny rather than in sweat. And so we must ask ourselves, what do I choose to reveal? What must I bury? The truth is that in your pursuit of power, you cannot afford to reveal the backstage. You cannot afford to show the cracked mirror, the trembling hand, the sleepless night. Those must remain hidden, locked in the shadows of your discipline. For once revealed, the illusion shatters, and without the illusion, power slips away. And so, from Athens to Florence, from Berlin to Hollywood, the lesson endures. Hide the scars, show only the crown. The world will call it destiny. The world will call it genius. The world will call it inevitable. But you will know the truth. It was labor hidden by the mask of ease. This is the invisible hand of power. And now, as we close, let us step into reflection one final time. In the theater of power, there is always a stage. On that stage, the audience sees the light, the spectacle, the grand illusion. But behind the curtain lies the machinery, the gears, the ropes, the sweat of men pulling them. Those who reveal the backstage ruin the spell. Those who conceal it rule the crowd. This is the eternal wisdom of Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Aristotle concealed decades of study and emerged as a voice of reason that seemed eternal. Michelangelo buried agony beneath the marble and presented works that looked divine. Marlene Dietrich veiled calculation in elegance, convincing the world she was born allure itself. Each of them built power not by showing their scars, but by hiding them. Not by flaunting their struggle, but by burying it beneath the mask of inevitability. This is why history crowned them. The philosopher became immortal, the artist became divine, the actress became myth. And all because the world saw no struggle. They saw only the flame, never the furnace. So ask yourself, what furnace do you keep hidden? When others look at you, do they see the sweat of effort, or do they see the inevitability of mastery? Do they pity your struggle, or do they revere your aura? The truth is merciless. The world will not reward you for showing your struggle. The world will reward you for hiding it, for making your victories appear as destiny, for making your art, your charm, your power seem as natural as the rising sun. That is the invisible hand of power. It moves unseen, but it moves all things. It turns sweat into myth, pain into reverence, labor into legend. And when you wield this hand, you do not merely impress. You inspire awe. You make others believe you're more than human. You make them believe you're inevitable. Remember this: to reveal your scars is to invite contempt. To reveal your sweat is to invite comparison. But to reveal only the crown is to command reverence. Hide the furnace. Show only the flame. Conceal the hand. Reveal only the power. This is Law 30. This is the mask of ease. This is the path of those who do not simply live, but rule. So the question lingers. What will you hide? What mask will you wear? What flame will you show? The invisible hand of power awaits your choice. Like, subscribe, comment, or don't. You are the master of your own life.